This is another hidden gem by Scriabin. Opus 42 contains 8 etudes and is written in 1903. So now we're in Scriabin's middle period that starts with his fourth sonata, where he's starting to go beyond the traditional romantic harmonic language. In this piece, we're still in a tonal world, but it's hard to say which direction the harmonic progressions go sometimes. And it's because the chords can be very ambiguous. It's like they can exist in two states at once, quantum states of chords. And it's often because Scriabin adds new important chord notes after the harmony has started, and especially the bass notes can come in like in the last minute and flip the chord to another state. Let's just jump in at the beginning. So the first chord here, it looks like a C sharp major. Well, think again. It turns into an F sharp major, and then with a bass note in the very end, last minute. So if I play the F sharp major in the bass here, then when I play the right hand, then we can hear it's a major 7th and a 9th. So a major 9th chord that then resolves and to F sharp major. But that's not what we hear when it started. This looks like a C sharp major. And this is all the time. Scriabin loves to use these notes, 7th and 9th, and especially augmented 4th, so a tritone, and augmented 5ths. And they act as kind of bridges between these states, because they can turn the chords in the different directions. And it's so fascinating. I can just sit and experiment and listen to these chords all day long. I'm not going to do this now for the whole piece, because it's too much. But let's just do the first 4 bars. Okay, second bar, we're turning the F sharp major to F sharp minor here with this A natural. And then just adding the 7th in the end. It's easy to analyze and to spot here, but it's very weird musically what happens. So we've literally just established the F sharp major in the first bar. And then in the second bar, it's just thrown out the window with this minor switch. So together. Okay, now third bar. Okay, this is a D major 7th, which is quite close to the F sharp minor. So now we're kind of know where we are a little bit more. And then the fourth bar, are you ready? Okay, now it's somewhere else. So let's do the same thing. Let's go from the end here. Except the last note, this is a F sharp, that's like, it's a pedal point through all the bars, so this is again changing a little bit, but except this F sharp, we have this chord. This is just a simple dominant 7, C sharp 7th chord, that's a dominant to our F sharp tonality. It's just that Scriabin takes a big detour before he ends up here. So, especially this. It's so off. So this is called a quartal chord. It's 2 perfect 4ths. It creates this eerie sound. By the way, 4ths are actually the foundation for Scriabin's own creation, the mystic chord, which appears in his later music. But here the quartals are only color notes to the C sharp 7 chord. So this is a 6th, and this is a 9th. So it's actually a 6-9 chord. And then we have these melodic turnarounds in the middle. So the top voice goes through a major 7th and ends up on a C sharp, the octave. And the middle voice goes through an augmented fourth and ends up on the G sharp, the fifth. So it's lovely, this little counterpoint writing here, a little detail of it. And then of course the left hand has arpeggio, and we just get the bass note later on, so that's how we end up with this bar. So once again, there's so much going on here. And then of course the F sharp turns it around in the end as well. It's like all this harmonic stuff is floating around in space, and sometimes they align themselves to create a chord that you recognize for a split second, and then they continue floating around. And I have another metaphor as well. It's like all music uses these chromatic notes in a different way, because you can't only use consonant chord notes, because that's too boring. So all music are different and individual in how they use these chromatic notes. And it's like we're all different persons with individual personalities and interests and habits. And that's fine, but there is a line that you can be different in a way that's not normal. And I think someone should tell Scriabin that what he's doing here isn't really normal. But then again, that's the beauty of music. It can do things out of the ordinary, and it will only make us think more openly. Okay, so returning to the etude. Now we have a repeat of the first 4 bars, so a second phrase that's almost identical. It's just different at the end. So in the end, we go somewhere new. So we've modulated to A major. It may look like an E major. But again, it's just the first stage toward the state of A major. A major. It's a simple D major here, the F sharp in the bass. And then we turn back around to the F sharp tonality. So with a very cute cadence with ninths, of course. And it's actually the same type of cute cadence here as in Scriabin's 4th sonata. The first 8 bars there, he completely rips apart the old tonality. It's still tonal, but it's a new word. But then, in the end, he puts this cadence with ninth in the same way as here, to kind of emphasize that, of course, it's a grounding of the traditional harmony. It's like he's being ironic. Okay. And now starts the second idea of the piece. Now the harmony is more stable, even if it's not totally clear still. And pianissimo dolcissimo is very tender and supple and loaded with electricity in this jumpy rhythm here. A lot of yearning here. Idea is repeated higher up, raising the stakes, growing more excited. And for the climax of the piece here, you get some chords chords that's ranging a bit wider. Bit eccentric, this sudden accelerando to get back to the starting point. And again, nines here, of course. And then we get a recapitulation of the first idea here. And now there's one more element that's important in this piece that I haven't mentioned yet. So if we do a motivic analysis, we find that there's one motive that's present through the whole piece. It's this one. And. So these three notes with a chromatic half step and then a small interval. So listen now when I play the recapitulation, and we can focus on the motive instead of the harmony now. It's there all the time in this piece. Now for the repeat of the phrase, we're going somewhere new for the second time here. So, yearning and longing, and it's the old cheeky +5 chords here. And it's so funny, like when you play Chopin and you get a +5 chord, it stands out because it's a little bit different for the music of Chopin. It's not different, but it's noticeable. And in Scriabin, it's noticeable because it's the normal way of being different and not the weird way of being different. So we know where we are when we get a +5 chord. And repeating again higher up. We get one final statement of the dolcissimo in the high register. Very, very nice. And this is a motive. And the yearning. And the closing. And now we have a very long runway to end this piece. Now we get the second idea again, but even more staying in one place harmonically. And here we have the motive, and Scriabin emphasize it and make sure we recognize it because it puts tenuto markings on it for the final time. And we get a repeat of this. Just fading out. And smorzando is dying out. So this long runway is really establishing the F-sharp major tonality, so a nice balance to the more uncertain ambiguity of the first half of the piece. So I really love this music. It's not the mainstream of classical music, and Scriabin in his later period, he goes somewhere different with atonal music that I'm not my favorite. But before he goes there, he explores these worlds that are so great, and I hope you can enjoy this music as well. This is Sonata Secrets. Subscribe, hit like, and now please enjoy when I play through Scriabin's Etude in F-sharp major, opus 42, number 4.